Alright guys, so today we'll learn how to do factorizing. So we'll learn how to factorize expressions. So first things first, so what is a factor? So a factor is something that is common, keyword being common, between multiple terms. Okay, always remember, it's common. If it's not common, it's not a factor. Okay, so for example, both earlier have house, what common between the two houses? Well, both of them have roofs, hopefully. I might have a bed, common. But one house might have AC, the next house don't have AC. So that is not common. So always remember, it's common things. So this part here is quite important because once you get this, everything has to be simple, quick movements. So pay attention. So when you factorize and stuff, remember for all algebraic expressions, there are numbers and there are letters with the numbers. So what we do, we separate both of them. So you separate the numbers from the letters to make everything easier. So the first thing we need to learn is how to factorize the numbers. Okay? So right here. So when factorizing numbers, we choose the biggest number that can go into all the number terms. So it's called something called the highest common factor, but in simple terms, it's just the biggest number that could go into both of the numbers. So we have an example at the bottom here. So we have 4xy plus 8x squared y. So we want to factorize this. So we do not know how to factorize as yet, so we're taking one step at a time. So the number parts here are 4 and 8. Yeah? So ask yourself, what is the biggest number that could go into 4 and 8? And yes, so for the number part, it will be 4. Okay? Take it one step at a time. You're just looking for the biggest number that can go into both of the number parts. Nice. So we're going across here, number 2. So now we learn how to factorize the letters. So when factorizing the letters, for each common letter, not alphabet common letter, but each letter that is common between both expression or both terms, we choose a letter with the lowest power. Always remember this. So for the letters, we pick the letter that is common with the lowest power, okay? So same example here. So we have 4xy squared plus 8x squared y cubed. So now we're not looking at the number, we're looking at the letters. So if you look here, the x's are common because this have x and this have x. Don't worry about the power. Once they have the same letter, regardless of the power, they are common. So they must be factorized. So in this case, anytime you will see a letter that is by itself with no power, it's understood that the power is 1, okay? It's not 0, it's 1. So in this case, what is common? The x's and the y's. So we must factorize each letter, each common letter, right? So if we have x and x squared, if you want to factorize this, the lowest power for the x's would be x, x1 or x, which is this one right here. So we'll pull it out. And we'll learn what to do after we pull it out in the following slides. What other letters common? Well, the y's. So we have y squared and y cubed. And just as we learned before with the x's, which one has the lowest power? Yes, if you guessed it, y squared. So the factor for the y's will be y squared. And that's all. So for factorizing the numbers, as you did here, look at the number parts, just the number parts. What is the biggest number that can go into both of them? And you record it. For the letters, no matter how many letters they bring for you, they can bring 26 letters with the alphabet. You just look for what each term, what letter they have in common, and factorize each one separately by itself by choosing which letter has the lowest power. Okay, that's it for the first year. And that's basically a foundation there. Everything else is just the steps on how to factorize. So let's go. So this part here is very important. There's something called the common term labeling. This will help to start off. As you do more questions, you'll understand the fundamentals better. But as we are now starting off, we'll implement a step called the common term labeling. So to make factorizing easier, we label each common thing in each term with a respective number. Okay? So everything you see common, if the numbers are common, you give it a number. If the x's are common, you give it another number. If the y's are common, you give it another number. And if they have any other letters, just give it another number. So we have an example at the bottom here. So the 4's, so we have 4x squared y cubed plus 8x cubed y5. So you want to factorize this expression here. So common term labeling, the numbers are separate parts. So all the time, as a rule of thumb, it will always have a number. So the numbers will always be common. Okay, so don't worry about it. So 4 and 8, we'll label that as 1 because they are common. So what else is common between both of them? The x's. So since this has x and this has x, we'll label that as 2. And then for y's are common, so we'll label it as 3. And if it had any other letters, 4, 5, 6 going on your yeah, fail. So on this side, the numbers will be 1, x's are 2, and the y's are 3. That's the concept. That's all you're doing. Look at each thing that is common and give it a separate number. Alright, so you'll see each term has a matching number, and that will be very important for the following steps. So it will make everything easier when we actually get to factorize it. So this is like a default step. Okay, so let's learn how to actually factorize it. So steps of factorizing expressions. So on one side we have a little example to follow through, and on this side they are the steps. So step 1, as we learned before, number label the common terms. So as we did before, we just look at each thing that is common and give it its own respective number. So the numbers are common, we label it as 1. The x's are common, so we label it as 2. Simple enough. That's all. So now we go on to step 2. Now we factorize each number label. So this will be the first thing we did, knowing how to factorize the numbers and the letters. Okay, if you didn't catch it, rewind the video, look at it again, and come back to here. So let's go. So we have the 1's. So we need to factorize the 1's. So we have 4 and 8. So we're looking for the number, the largest number that can go into 4 and 8, and in this case will be 4. So we write it down just like it is here. So now we go to number 2. So the 2's are the x's. So which one has the lowest power? X squared. So we write them down right here. Just as is, you could keep the numbers. Keep the numbers. It will help everything else. Yeah, so let's go. So last step. In brackets, divide the factor for each number back into its respective number in each term. So that means we got the factor here with the numbers still there. So now we need to put each number or each part back into its respective term. So in this case, there are 2 terms, so we need to do it twice. So let's go. I'm moving slowly. So we have 1. So we have to put 1 into the first one. So it'll be 4 into 4, which is 1. So now that's done. So we go to the 2 now. So we have to put the 2 into the first 2 right here. So x squared into x squared is 1. So always remember, this is a rule of thumb. Anytime you put the same thing into the same thing, the result will always be 1. It's just like dividing 2 by 2, the answer is always 1. So if you notice, you put in this entire thing is looking like this entire thing. To save time, just put 1 because it's understood. You'll be wasting time by doing it for each of them. Okay, so recap, you put in the 1's into the first one, the 2 into the first 2. And now for this part, we just repeat the same step. So plus, so we go 4, the first one, so this one here, into the second one. So 4 into 8 is 2. Now you put this 2 into the second 2, which is this one. So x squared into x cubed. So when we put powered letters into other powered letters, we subtract the powers. Okay? So 3 subtract 2 will give me 1. And we don't have to put the 1 on top of the x because it is understood. Okay? And it close the brackets. And that's all the steps are. So look through these steps, play the video over and over until you understand. Alright, so let's try some more questions. Let's go, more questions. So I'm doing this from scratch. So let's go. Number 1. So we have 4x squared y cubed plus 8x4y. So let's go. What is common between these things? Well, the numbers are always common, so we'll label that as 1. What else is common? Well, the x's, so we label this as 2. the x's as 2, and the y's, we label that as 3's. So step 1 is complete, so let's factorize. So we need to factorize the numbers 4 and 8. As we done before, the largest number here will be 4. So the numbers are complete. Now number 2's. So we have the x squared and the x4. Which one is the smaller power? X squared. So we'll write it down right here. And the 3's. So we have y cubed and y. Remember y, any power, any letter that has no power, visible power, it's understood that the power is 1. So in this case, if I have nothing smaller than 1 in this question, they may bring negative numbers, but don't worry about that. It's the same concept, so in this case, it will be y. Alright, so always remember to keep the numbers at the bottom. Always keep the numbers until they finish. When they finish, you can erase it, but it's 1. That's right, it's extremely small. Alright, so now let's go into the last step, which is dividing the factor numbers, the number factors, back into the terms. So we go 4 into, so 1 into the first one. Yeah, 1 into the first one. 4 into 4 is 1. Then 2 into the first 2, x squared into x squared is still 1, so I'm not going to write anything. And now we have y, so 3 into 3, so y into y cubed. 3 minus 1 will be y2. So the first part is done. So now we have to repeat the same thing for the second part. So plus, so 1 into the second, 1. So 4 into 8 is 2. And 2 into the second, 2. X squared into x4 is 4 minus 2 is 2. And the last part, 3 into 3. So 3 into the second, 3. So y into y, as we said before, is not going to change. So that's the answer. Close brackets, and the question is done. That's all. So now we go into the second one. Number pause it if you need to. So repeat the steps again. So what is common? So the numbers are common, so I'll label it as 1. The x's aren't common, don't fall for the trick. So I cannot label that as 2. So I cannot give it any number labeling because it's not common. So what other letters common? So the y. So in this case, the y will be the 2. Make it only label the common things. Okay, so nice. So let's go. So in this case, we only have 2 things to factorize. So let's not stick. So we have 16 and 8 for the number part, 1 and a 1. So the largest number that's going to 16 and 8 will be 8. Keep the number. So now we have the x's uncommon, so we can't factorize it. So we go to number 2. So we have y and y squared. In this case, y squared is the smaller, sorry, y is the smaller one. So write it in. Nice, open brackets. So let's divide it back into the terms. So 1 into the first one, so 8 into 16 is 2. 2 into the first 2, so y into y is 1, so this will not change. So let's go to the second part, plus 1 into the second one, so 8 into 8 is 1. And now 2 into the second 2, so 2. So y into y, 2 minus 1 is just y. Alright, and that's the end of that question. And the last one is here. So what is common here? So we have the numbers, which is always common. It's kind of like a default number. So we have the x's are common in this case, so we'll label that as 2. So let's do, let's actually look to factorize these things now. So for ones, we have 4 and 2. So these are numbers, so the largest number that can go into 4 and 2 will be 2. Keep the number. And for the x squared and x, if you guessed it, it will be x, because that is the smallest power. Keep the number. So we for the open brackets. So let's go. So 1 into the first one. So 2 into 4 is 2. And 2 into the first 2. So 2x into x squared is x. Subtract 1 from 2. So let's go. Second one. So no pun intended. So 1 into the second one. So 2 into 2 is 1. And then x into x, or 2 into the second 2. As I said before, you notice that you put in 2x into 2x. So I did not need to do it piece by piece because it's the same thing. So kind of double book myself there, but if you saw it, remember, if you put in the same thing into the same thing holistically, the result will always be 1. Okay, well, I probably can repeat this like 10,000 times, but any letter with no visible power, it's understood that the power is 1. Okay, so nice question. So let's go. So some harder questions. So we learn some cool stuff in this one. So the first thing that I want you all to notice is this part here. This negative. This negative. This here is very important. This is not set in stone, so it's not something that is a law, because it doesn't matter which one you factorize first. So anytime, as a rule of thumb, anytime you see a negative, that is the first number, that anything that you want to factorize, the factor will also have the negative. Okay, and you'll note, see what I did for this. So I repeat, anytime the first number has a negative, the factor will also have a negative. Okay, so let's go. So in this case, sub's not changing. So we have the number parts, negative 8 and 16, so that'll be 1. What else is common? The x's. We label him as 2. And the y's are common, so we label him as 3. So let's go. So now you learn what I said. So since the first number has a negative, the factor will have a negative, and we just continue. Everything is like normal. So 8 and 16, the largest number that can go into 8 and 16 is 8. So let's go again. So 2, x squared and x cubed, which one is the smaller one? Yes, x squared is the smaller one, so you write it down. 3's, y cube and y4, which one is the smaller one? Yes, y cube. And yes, keep your numbers. It will help you. But after a while, you will notice what to do. And once you reach that stage, you can start playing with the numbers. But this is just a start off, so you understand the concepts. So let's go. So remember these things. I'll write it here. So they are called sign combinations or sign combos. So first, a negative into a negative will be a plus. Now we have plus into negative, that would be a negative. We can have negative into a positive number, which will still give us a negative, and we can have a plus into a plus, which will give us a plus. A rule of thumb, and this is quite cool, if the signs are the same, the result will always be positive. If you look at the negative and the negative, it gave us a plus, and the plus also gave us a plus. But once the signs are different, it will give you a negative. Yeah, so that's easy to remember the sign combos with quick time. So let's go. So in this case, you have to implement one of these things. So 1 into the first one, negative 8 into negative 8. Negative into a negative is a positive, so 8 into 8 will just be 1. And I'm going to put plus 1. Okay, so let's go. 2 into the first 2. X squared into x squared is the same thing into the same thing. So I'll write nothing because 1 is already there. And y cube into y cube, 3 into the first 3 is still 1. I could have seen that this entire thing here is the same as this entire thing here. So the result will still be 1. Okay, so let's go for the second part. So we have 1 into the second one. So negative 8 into positive 16, that will give me a negative 2. Okay, so let's go. 2 into the second 2, x squared into x cubed. 3 minus 2 is 1. And last part, 3 into the second 3, y cubed into y4, 4 minus 3 is 1. Nice. And last part, so we have this. So as I said before, the first number has a negative, so the factor will have a negative in it. So let's go. So number part was common. So the numbers are common, so we label that as 1. What else is common? The x's. So we label that as 2. The y's are common, so we can label that as 3. And the z's are common, so we label that as 4. Let's go. So let's factorize each number. So we have, so know the factor will be a negative, have a negative in it. So 4 and 2. What are we going to 4 and 2? Well, 2. The largest one is 2. Now we factorize the 2's. So we have x squared and x. So yes, the factor will be x, because x is the smallest one. 3's now, so we have y cubed and y. So yes, y will be the factor, because it's the smallest one. And we have z5 and z2. So z2 will be the factor, because it's, again, the smallest power of the both of them. So we finish our factor. So I wouldn't label the numbers in this case, let's change it up a little bit. So let's go. So we understand the concept. So we go -2 into -4. So we have a negative into a negative, so we know the answer will be positive. So 2 into 4 is 2. Now we have x into x squared, the x. Y into y cubed, 3 minus 1 is 2. Remember, when you put a number, so a letter into a letter, we separate the powers. And we have z2 into z5, 5 minus 2 is 3. So that first part is done, so let's go. A negative into a negative again, so we know it's going to be a positive. So let's go, 2 into 2, 1, but wait a minute. And this entire thing here, looking like this entire thing here, yeah? So we know it's just going to be 1. So we ain't going to go through all the stuff again to waste time. Close the brackets, and that's it. So once you can do these questions, you're real good. So for CSEC or for lower level, the question may not be this difficult, but once you're doing these questions, you're on a different level. Alright, so and with that said, well, that's the end of factorizing. So remember, practice makes perfect, and we shall meet again, guys.